Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave Sports and Entertainment original presented by Prize Picks. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Be sure to check out The Right Time YouTube channel. Lots of exclusive content there. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is Foxworth Friday. Domonique Foxworth, what's going on?
Chilling, man. I mean, Foxworth Friday is an occasion to celebrate, but people who are just listening don't realize that Bo is feeling extra festive today.
Yeah, man. I've made a decision, and I had to realize this, right? So growing up or whatever, and through college, because I went to college in Atlanta, my parents lived in Atlanta at the time. Like my daddy was kind of the engine for Christmas cheer, right? Like he's the guy, he keep the music going, all of that sort of stuff. And I've been living by myself for quite a long time, all of that stuff. And it don't always feel like Christmas under those circumstances. And I realized the only way it's going to work, I got to go ahead and do it, right? So I went ahead and got the tree up, decorated that bad boy over the weekend. It's not a particularly attractive decorating job, but it was done and it already had lights in it. So I can just plug it in and it'll go. Got some Christmas records that I'm throwing on the record player. I had the James Brown, the Jackson 5, the Stevie Wonder, running those. Got my Christmas playlist, the Old Soul Christmas. Look that up on Spotify. You know what I'm saying? Like
I've known that you're a Christmas guy for a while. The first time I found this out was a bit of a surprise because it feels a little inconsistent with the stereotype we have of people who are very festive. But I know it's because I listened to your episode with Spencer about music, and I know it's all like that's how you grow. Your daddy, your example of a man to be. This motherfucker like Christmas. I like Christmas.
I don't understand not getting on board with Christmas or whatever like analogous holiday that there is in your life. All it do is make people feel good, right? It might cost you some money. I understand that part. But otherwise, at least for me, I have an association with positive things. Now, I understand not everybody had such a good time in their house growing up. I'm not saying that entirely jokey. I mean that, like, I get that. So it may not go the same way. But for me, I like to get a little cheer going in this bad boy. So I'm taking the extra mile and I'm actually wearing like a Christmas hat.
New York, Christmas time in New York is pretty dope, though. Yeah. Like I was just up there. I go up there every week, as you know, for the shows, and it's just starting. Like it starts early, but no one really respects it. But I'm walking through the streets, and the crazy thing about Christmas is, or the crazy thing about New York is how everything is in tight quarters, and so you walking down the street, and they just be selling Christmas trees, and then it's people walking down the street with a Christmas tree on their shoulder, and they taking it home. It's just like it feels good. It feels like Christmas. Everything is lit up in a little different way. Yeah, Christmas in New York, if you've never done it, not the holiday itself, but spend any time in New York in December, it's pretty damn dope.
I think the other thing, too, is that I was talking to my Spanish teacher about this, and she is based in Colombia. And Christmas is a tropical holiday for them, right? Every day is a tropical day. Where she stay, the image of Christmas in this country is basically formed by New York City being like the media center at the time where all these images and stuff, so all the movies, all the commercials and everything else, like all this stuff about like sleigh rides and all of this. Bitch, I'm from Houston. What is a sleigh? What is snow? I don't know any of this stuff. So what people's minds have sent to them via mass media as what an idealized Christmas is Christmas in New York, right? It's Fifth Avenue, it's Rockefeller Center, all of that stuff. And you can go do all those things very, very easily and just go take a stroll, especially now post-pandemic or everybody afraid of each other. It don't even really be that many people on Fifth Avenue no more.
It's like when people say football weather.
Yes.
Like football, like snowy football weather, that's football weather for you.
Right.
Like as a defensive back, and like I lived in Maryland, Baltimore for much of my life. It would get cold, but it ain't snow till after football season most of the time. And I guess the NFL season is different, but like we was done playing football when it started snowing. The end of the season was around Thanksgiving time. And I don't think of that as football weather. That's slow people weather. And I ain't a slow people.
Well, that's about to be a variable for the college football playoff as the years go that people ain't thought about. Like, I don't know if you remember this, but that year, I forget what happened, but the roof collapsed at the Metrodome. in Minnesota. And so they had to go play the games at the stadium they had opened up at the University of Minnesota. But the thing was, the University of Minnesota has an outdoor stadium. They used to play in the Metrodome, but they have an outdoor stadium. And the only reason that you can have an outdoor stadium in Minnesota is that you're not going to be playing football so long that the cold really comes. They had to go play that game over there. Boy, they had to get the volunteers out there to break up that ice and make it sittable and all of that stuff, because college football don't work like that.
Yeah, was Teddy Bridgewater, did he play in that game?
It was before then. This, I want to say, was the second year of the Brett Favre experience.
I thought they had another Minnesota outdoor game. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, it's too damn cold for that.
No, I think that whole year, I know exactly. That was the year that they missed that super short field goal in the playoffs and they lost to Seattle.
Yep, that's the one.
I don't think, and look, I've watched a lot of cold weather games. The Bills used to go to the Super Bowl every year. So we used to see like a lot of super duper cold weather games. I don't think any game has ever looked more cold and miserable than that game you're talking about right there with the Vikings and the Seahawks playing outside. Oh my God, it looks so cold.
I mean, we're only, that was last season when it was so cold in Kansas City that the face of the league helmet busts. They just bust his helmet. It's the guy that we want to protect the most. Patrick Mahomes got his shit cracked open. Like, that's how cold it was. These helmets are designed to withstand an amount of force. It got so cold that the structural integrity of this man's helmet was compromised. Yeah, that ain't football weather to me. That's football weather to you. But I enjoy like seeing the snow on the field. It's a cool little change up, but I don't want to play in it. And honestly, I don't really want to watch those games. I want to see people doing fast things.
Man, let me tell you somebody who got, I think got a bad rap for saying something that I understand. It sounds simple, but I hear him to the core of his being. That's what Michael Irvin said. When it was cold, we was cold. That's real. Those are two different things. It can be cold, and you might not be that cold. No, sir. Not for Mike. When it was cold, they was cold too.
The worst is wet, though. That's the worst. Because, like, in the NFL, like, you have the heated benches. You got, like, some cocoa or some hot broth on the sideline. You got the big jackets that you gotta put the jacket over you on the heated bench. Because the heated benches have footholes. And so you put your feet in the footholes, you put the jacket over you, and then you fine. You go out, get your few snaps in, you go sit down. But when you get wet, there ain't nothing you can do. You get wet and it's cold. If it's snowing or if it's raining, that's the pits. It's making me sad. Can we talk about something happy again? Christmas.
Did you ever think about calling out sick? Because I would think about calling out sick. Coach, I woke up and you're never going to believe this. I don't know how, but in my sleep, I think I tore my posterior cruciate ligament. It might be, you know what I mean? It's not bad. I think it'll be cool by the next game.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I guess you said call out sick. So the ligament works because if you call out sick, they're gonna give you all the drugs.
Yeah, you're just asking to be stabbed with very thick and hardy needles.
Yeah. It's all the antibiotics. They're gonna give you all of them. Whatever's in there, it's gonna die.
Yes. Oh my goodness. By the time everybody hears this, it is possible that the healthcare bandit may have been caught. And for those of you who are unaware, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, he got shot on the street in New York City. We'll get to the particulars and the details of it. I will say right now, I admit I understand where everybody's coming from. I can't really have no jokes about somebody getting smoked in the street like that. I don't care what his job is or whatever it goes. Right. But like that tells you a whole lot about how angry people are about the way that the healthcare game works. But even if they have caught this man by the time everybody hears this shit sounds like a movie, okay? For people who are unaware, he got shot. There was three shells, and the three shells, one of them said, deny, defend, depose, right? And apparently that is the strategy that the healthcare people use to not pay out, right? You deny the allegation, you defend something, you depose the patient, right? Like that's the whole game. There was a book that used this title. That was written on the shells. Whoever shot dude pulled up on him and shot him with a gun with a silencer, put a pin in that point, a gun with a silencer, and rode off on an e-bike into Central Park and beyond. From what I could tell, they ain't really got no evidence about him, right? All I know is that he definitely wasn't black, and I know they got some video about that. But number two, and this is important, if the only information that they had was it was a black man, that's enough for the APB, all right? They'd have been outside my house deep, I tell you, deep. Any of us could have got it. It was a black man, say less, and they be getting out there. I don't know when they're going to find this dude, but Domonique, I don't know if you've seen this, but they offered a $10,000 reward for information about this person. And I'm just telling you right now, I ain't telling on nobody who got a silencer for their gun. Okay? I don't know where you go buy the silencer. I feel like if you order one online, you are immediately on the list. But if you are about that action to the point where you got a silencer, like you ain't even just bring like a pillow or something to muffle the sound. You got your own silencer. It worked. I didn't hear a thing.
$10,000. We gotta bump these rewards up. I feel like I seen old westerns where they got a comma in the reward. You're going to do more. They said that. I mean, that company is worth billions of dollars. The man they killed is a billionaire, and you're right. Like the way that operation went, it feel like something that is in a movie, which feels more professional than $10,000 is going to get me to get involved in. Right? And it's like no, and to your point about like people's reaction to it. I think if nothing else has been made clear to me over the past few elections is we don't really know what's going on over there. And I don't mean over there, a specific over there. There's a lot of different over there's. And like there was a point where it felt like we had a good feeling for what was going on over there. And I don't really know what's going on over there. I don't know what's going on in all the various over there's. I know what's going on in my little circles, my little group chats. And so I bring that up because what was written on the shells, I don't know where people is at right now. And we, every now and then, every couple months, you and I get into some conversation about capitalism. And healthcare and capitalism has always been something that don't really feel like they should go together.
Uncomfy.
Yeah. And so I get all the arguments people make for like the profit motives will cause innovation and whatever, but it also kills people if it's not profitable in order to save them. And I don't know. I just don't know what's going on over there. And this feels like this could be because of the words on there and because of how organized it was, it feels like it could be an indication of how they feeling over there.
Yeah, I would say that the writing on the shells narrowed the pool of suspects to somewhere around 150 million people. Right? People who have been affected by the behaviors of these companies. Or, you know, like it trickles out, it spreads like the tree goes in all these different places. It could literally be anybody. I really can't believe how, like, I haven't even watched the video because I don't do that. But every indicator that I've gotten, I've read enough, I've seen enough. Is this a professional or have people just watched enough movies that they've gotten to the point? Like, if I needed to try CPR, I ain't never took no class. But I got a pretty good idea of how we gonna make it happen. Because this dude got his lick. He hit it at the right time. It was early in the morning. It was real cold. And if nobody's expecting you and you get into Central Park, you kind of straight. You dispose your clothes, whatever it is, and get out there looking like a vagrant. It could be anybody.
The only other thing, like I didn't watch, I feel like no one was showing the video. I guess it's probably online, but like,
you kind of shouldn't put a video on television. They won't show Kevin Ware's leg break.
Yeah, right. No one's. I haven't seen like the graphic portions of the video, but I did hear the police kept saying that he was a professional because the gun jammed in the way that he cleared it and reset it or whatever, suggested to them, or they didn't say he was professional, suggested to them that he was very comfortable.
It wasn't his first rodeo. How about that?
Right, yeah, right. Is because, I mean, if you had never been in a football game before, you get a blitz coming at you, you might be a little panicked. My man, he had the hot read and he checked right out of that, which suggests that he had faced the blitz before. So
right, he wasn't nervous to begin with. If you set yourself up to go kill somebody and something goes wrong and you're like, oh, don't worry, it's cool. This is you are not a rookie at the rodeo.
Well, Monty, I've been doing TV for a long time. And if I stutter, my heart rate starts to increase and I feel uncomfortable. Like, come on, get that word out. So like, I cannot even imagine thinking about going up into that moment and then something happening. So if the complexion wasn't enough, it wasn't me, guys. And also to the words on the bullet, like we've heard these stories and we've read these stories. We've seen the research that suggests that this industry is putting a lot of us into horrible financial situations. And frankly, the choices that we have made have like crippled people financially. So to your point, there's hundreds of millions of people who could be a part of that. But if you feel like you have nothing to live for, everything you've worked for in your life has led you to a situation where you feel good, then something goes wrong and a company is operating for profit and puts you in a tougher situation. Like 100 million suspects.
Yeah. Now, 100 million suspects, and I'm going to be honest with you, you're not guaranteed to go to jail on this one. No matter how dead to rights you are, I recommend that you get you 12 white folks and take this shit to trial, because all you need is one. You don't need all 12. They need all 12. All you need is one person who refuses to send you to jail. That is, and with a pool of 100 million suspects, it's a pool of 100 million people who just might hang up a jury. Okay. We ain't really heard of widespread jury nullification like this since we did a little better about our racism. You know what I'm saying? But don't you think for a second that one American cannot make the decision that you're not going to go to jail. I'm not recommending that it happen. I'm just telling you, if you're the lawyer, that's your play. Your play is just to try to hang the jury.
I mean, that's like you mentioned, since we got better with our racism, but like that had widespread in the South. It was like, fine, you can arrest me, you can charge me, but what you're not going to find is 12 white people that are going to send me to jail for the crimes I've committed against a black person in this city. And that's like, I mean, we don't have to go through that history. But I think what you bring up that's super interesting is like, we talk about how things have changed and things that have taken place in politics and in law now are things that we never thought, or not we never thought, but I think we thought we might have been past. I hadn't even considered what you just mentioned right there. And that is, I don't want to be like hyperbolic, but that is a weakening of another one of the pillars of the imperfect society that we have. If we get to the point where people are like, you know what? We ain't judging based on the evidence. We judging based on how we feel. And it's like, I don't want to make a weird NFL analogy, but it's also like it reminds me a little bit of the Aziz Al-Shaair stuff that we've been talking about up until now, because it's like people feel strongly about that because how it make them feel, not necessarily about what actually happened.
No, and that's always in the cards, man. That is always in the cards. That is just going to come down to how do people feel, and they going to go from there. They just not that technical about what they do. And I have to say, it was even understanding the levels of animus that would exist toward an institution like this. Because look, I always say this about capitalism. It's pretty cool for what you want. It's really bad for what you need. right? Because once you start, there's some things that just shouldn't, some things should not be dictated by the market, but they really ain't come up with much better ways to do all of this stuff, right? So they just go back to what they know every time. And so they go to this form of a market economy that they discuss. That is not how people should get health stuff. It's just not like that's bad news on so many different levels. But the anger and animus that people have, because I forget what the crazy percentage is of American debt that is health stuff. Right? Like something happens for you, something bad happens for you. And by the way, it's important to note this. It's health stuff, and it's very often people who have insurance. But the game is for the insurance company to find a reason not to pay out on whatever this thing is. So like I went in a couple weeks ago, my back was really, really hurting me bad, like to the point where I couldn't sleep type of hurting bad. And so I went in, I got insurance, and I got to look into this. But apparently my back hurts so bad I can't sleep did not earn me no coverage on that particular trip that I took to the doctor. And, maybe I'm able to fix this. Or maybe they don't pay for that. Yeah. I got it. I'm cool. But can you imagine being in a situation where your back hurts so bad that you can't go to sleep and you can't afford to go do nothing about it?
And I know what you do for a living, and I know other people have manual labor jobs.
Yes.
So can you imagine that you have a manual labor job and you can't sleep?
Right.
Which means you can't work. And the kicker about the insurance thing is, to drive the point home about how some things don't work in capitalism, is when the incentive is to provide a quality service for money that makes some sense. So like, if I own a restaurant, there's reason to believe that if my service is better and my food is better, then I will make more money. Think about the structure of insurance. You know how I make more money? By not giving you the shit that I promised you.
Correct.
That is fucking, like, not to use a word that I feel like is overused and misunderstood. That is actually diabolical.
Yeah. But that's the game.
Like, it actually is.
Like, look, the thing about the insurance company is they know at some point you're going to draw upon them heavily, right? If you are a lifetime customer of said insurance company, right? An American healthcare game is wild because it goes through jobs, right? Because we basically decide that you have to work to be worthy of healthcare, which is, it's a thing. But anyway, everybody comes in this. If you're going to be there, say a 70-year client of this company, at some point you're going to get sick in all likelihood, and you're going to need to hit them up for stuff all the time. And the way for them to be able to pay out on that is to pay as little as possible on everything along the way, right? The healthy people subsidize the sick. That's the model for this. Except in order to keep them profits climbing, it goes from the healthy people subsidized to sick to the healthy people subsidize the really sick, and the kind of sick I really don't know what to tell you. That's how we make more money off of this.
I don't want to use like hyperbolic language, but like it does feel schemish.
Yes.
In that, and it's a direct transaction of the same good. So like, I'm giving you money in hopes that you'll give me money back when I need it.
Yes.
And I guess you could argue that maybe the companies, because they have so much more money, they might be able to invest at a higher rate and they could make a return or invest at a better rate so they can make a return that way. But in actuality, the way that they trying to make returns is you, meaning all of their clients, give me more money, and then in exchange for that, I give you less back.
Yeah.
Like fundamentally, that's the plan, right? That's the strategy.
It is a bit of a justifiable Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, that's exactly. It is. I didn't want to say scheme, but it's a scheme.
It is a bit, but at the same time, I don't know how else that's supposed to work.
Right? Because it's not like I'm giving you money and we're going to give you a car.
Right.
Because if I could have all the money in the world, I can't build me a car.
Right.
All I need to pay for these services is money. So I'm giving you money and you be like, all right, wait till you need some help. I'm going to give you back less.
The NBA's in full swing, which means you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite teams only on Prize Picks. You can make a Prize Picks lineup between the NFL and the NBA in as little as 60 seconds. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. But rather than hear from me, let's talk to our expert picker. Hey, Sean, how the picks been going?
You know, Bo, I guess I'm solely an expert picker for the sheer volume of picks I make, but the picking's been good. I got the NBA, NFL back, and I can make picks between both leagues. And with the flex play, I can still cash out my lineup if it's not perfect. It's really cool to just, be able to pick LeBron James and Patrick Mahomes for a pick in the same pick. So, and as always, if you want to hear my upcoming picks, stick around for the end of the show. And if you know me, I'm always picking more.
So you make sure to go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sean, I love this time of year, especially because I get to listen to my favorite holiday songs. But with the holidays coming up, what moments and things make you happy and cozy at home during December?
Well, for me, Bo, I love spending time with my family and friends, whether it's watching my favorite holiday movies or eating the best holiday dessert. I truly love this time of the year. It's the perfect time to wind down and relax. And in the midst of this season, therapy is a great way to bring yourself some comfort that never goes away, even when the seasons change.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/Bomani today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bomani. Finding the perfect gift can be tough, especially one that won't end up in the back of a closet. This holiday season, do what I'm doing and give the gift of planning unforgettable experiences with Viator. Sean, what kind of holiday travel plans do you have for this upcoming season?
Well, for me, Bo, the best gift my partner wants is a quick weekend getaway. So I'll be heading to Santa Barbara later this month, actually, for a fun trip. And I'm really excited to use Viator when I'm there. You can book guided tours, activities, excursions, and more. Viator has over 300,000 travel experiences to choose from. So it's easy to find something that, everyone on your list will enjoy. Plus, they have real traveler reviews, so you can pick the perfect experience with confidence.
And with free cancellation and 24/7 customer support, you can gift worry-free, knowing that plans can change, but great memories last forever. Whether it's a unique way to explore their own city or an adventure on their next trip, a Viator experience is a gift you won't regret. So, skip the predictable presents and make this holiday one to remember with Viator. Download the Viator app now and use code Viator10 for 10% off your first booking in the app. Find travel experiences for you. Do more with Viator. I have to say, Domonique, I realized as we were going through this, my buddy Nick makes this point, and it's a good one. And he's like, look, man, he don't do costumes on no live TV show because some real news might pop up. And you in this, you know what I'm saying? Like something really, really goes down in the world. Like something crucial happens, and you and this motherfucker dressed like Little Red Riding Hood. Like it's not gonna work, right? But I realized we were talking about the doom and gloom of healthcare, and I'm over here looking like ho ho ho. I can understand how somebody would think that it was a little bit disjointed.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, that don't mean you got to be sad.
Nah, it's like...
You can still be merry.
Nah, man. I do want to talk to you this weekend. We got not a great slate of NFL games from what I'm looking at. Some that have some measure of interest, but none that I think are really good. But we got Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and you and I have not had an opportunity to talk about the return of old Jameis Winston. And what in the hell is going on here?
I don't know that I can think of anybody else off the top of my head that has existed in this place where he just kind of is a joke and we all cool with it. It's like, especially at that position, most of the time, like people would lose their mind if their quarterback was just a goofball and he just been just a goofball at every stop and a lovable goofball and say foolishness and bring the Lord into it and then eating W's.
Well, hold on.
Talking about
the Lord is new. I just want to throw that out there.
The Lord is new. And then this man, we didn't dwell on this one too long because he did so many other things, but he said we a mile high and the Browns got to get down here and multiply. That sounds like procreation to me. What are we playing football? Are we fucking? What's happening?
So, first of all, the mega church is coming. It's never been clearer because he's good at that stuff, right? Ever since he first got in college football, he's good at that talk to the room. Although he had run out of road when he got out there and ate that W. Like, I don't know if you see the interview with Gerald McCoy. But Gerald McCoy was like somebody else was supposed to give the speech, but Jameis just decided he was going to do it. Because, see, the problem that Jameis wound up with is that his particular brand or oration only worked when you number one pick, when you Heisman Trophy, when you 5-star. But then when you're not actually that good and you throwing us out of games, everything went a little different. To me, he's been in a great situation with the Browns because in both seasons that he's gotten in there is when they had nothing to play for. And it's the same thing that happened with Joe Flacco to a degree, although Flacco, it went all right for them. But you can have a fun quarterback when you ain't doing nothing. And in fact, it's best to have a fun quarterback. Like, you could go out there with Jacoby Brissett and maybe go 7-10, right? Or, get in that neighborhood. Nah, Jameis is a hoot. It is going to be an entertaining game one way or another. And now that he done found God, like, we got to run the clip right here of when, he was talking about his proclivity for throwing pick sixes. And here's what he's hoping for.
I am a better player, but in times like this, it's an opportunity to continue to glorify the Lord even through the toughest circumstances. I know I'm better than this. I know I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes. Like, that's not me. Like, a phenomenal game, offense, do some great things, but I messed it up.
Domonique, he say he hoped the Lord will deliver him from pick sixes.
After that, he said, that ain't me. Man, who is it, Jameis?
If I am not mistaken, I don't know if it was his first pass, but I think his first, he threw a pick six in his first game in the league, right?
I think it might have been his first pass.
And I know his last pass in Tampa was a pick six because that sealed the 30 touchdown, 30 interception season.
Yeah, if it ain't you, who is it? I don't know. You the pick sixiest guy we ever seen, man.
This is you so pick 60 that we forgot Kirk Cousins used to be pick six man until he turned back into pick six man in that game they played against the Chargers. The other thing about the Jameis experience that's so wild is part of it is that he's not Deshaun Watson, but he is Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I mean, he caught that suspension for getting handsy with the Uber driver.
Yep.
And that was when I think he got the Lord thing came up because I think he said he was going to quit drinking around that time and everything else. But they hate Deshaun Watson nasty ass so much that J-Mo old nasty ass come in and they like, well, he ain't that nasty. And he got jokes.
It's been interesting watching this that nobody wants to bring it up. Nobody wants to talk about it, which honestly, I'm fine with. We don't, it doesn't speak to these specific moments. It's like, all right, Jameis is kind of silly. We aren't taking him seriously. I'm not leaving nobody with him that I care about, but we can laugh at him when he's doing this stuff. But yeah, Jameis, I can't imagine. I've never been on a team that was so bad that we was happy that we had a goofball at quarterback. So I can't imagine being on a team where the quarterback is making it's kind of like that era of Mike Tyson where Mike Tyson was it was, I don't know, a decade ago where Mike Tyson was just kind of comfortable making fun of himself, but he was by himself. He wasn't leading the team. I'm watching before the game start and they're talking about Jameis Winston while they have those moving graphics behind. And he's one of the moving graphics and he eating W's. This has just happened. He eating W's, he dancing and grinning.
We can run this. Hold on, Sean. We can run this. Let the people see Jameis.
All right, you look at the final 5 weeks, the bye, and then a date with Indianapolis. That's a big one. The Colts, after they got that 2-point conversion late at New England to win by 1 there, they really need that one if they want to try to catch Denver. Then a couple of road games against both the Chargers, the Bengals, and then they finish up with the Kansas City team that they nearly had beaten Arrowhead.
What is going on here?
It's I don't know. And I haven't watched I need to watch the Hard Knocks and see, because I'm sure he in there, and see what the coaches are saying. Because you know how football coaches are. We serious, man. We got a chance. We go, and then Jameis come out there like doing his little whatever. It just don't seem consistent with what I understand football to be.
But here we are. Here we are.
Yep.
Like this.
Everybody loves him.
Hey, look, man. What makes it so wild? Because with Deshaun Watson, they had to get all the black ups to try to hold down the situation. Like, did you ever think that you could ever see white folks so happy with the presence of a mediocre quarterback? Not just a mediocre quarterback performing below what his talent should allow.
I cannot imagine it. It's only if you are in the Jacoby Brissett situation where you just out there protect. That was wild too. It was like Gerard Mayo was like, we put him out there so our good white quarterback don't die.
Yes, that happens, man. That, you know what's wild? Let me tell you what is, I'll never forget about that one. I remember when Tyrod Taylor was at Virginia Tech. And the plan had been when he came in, he was a 5-star recruit, but the plan had been when he was going to come in. I believe it was both his first and second year. His first year, the plan was to redshirt him. And they played a game in 2007 against LSU. And that was the year LSU won a national championship. And before that team had all those injuries. And I thought they had 13 people on the field. It looked like dudes was popping up out of manhole covers, man. They had a white boy playing safety with an interview with the vampire haircut that was out there doing damage. Craig Stoltz, he wound up playing for the Bears, right? And so Sean Glennon was the quarterback, and he was dying, so they put Tyrod out there because they felt like he could at least run away and save himself. And then the next year, same thing happened. They put Sean Glennon out there. The offensive line was terrible, and so they put Tyrod out there because he could run away and save himself. There is a track record of saving Caucasians by putting what they believe, in those cases, speedier Afro-Americans in the game, except Jacoby Brissett does not fit that archetype. No. Jacoby Brissett is actually just out there to get hurt.
Yeah, and May is a super athlete.
Yes.
When y'all do that, man, y'all, it's a lot of them now, man. It's like Steve Young had a lot of kids. What happened? Because I watched May and I'm like, you look like your parents played basketball.
So I wonder this with Drake May. This is a very inside North Carolina observation I'm going to make here. But how good in the NBA or in the NFL will Drake May have to get to be the most popular man in the state of North Carolina in his own family? Because his brother is Luke May, who hit that shot to put Carolina in the Final Four that year against Kentucky. I don't know if there's anything Drake May can do to make him the actual star in the family.
Not in North Carolina.
Not in North Carolina. It's not a thing.
Not unless he get traded to the Panthers. Yeah, and I guess that won't do it either. He would have to become the head basketball coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels and lead them to consecutive national championships. That's the only way he can get it done.
Yo, I meant to go to this earlier, and I didn't, but I still feel like I should bring this up because I think it's an important note when we was talking about, the apparent hit. By the way, they've been using that word assassination a lot in the news, and I don't approve. Granted, he got shot in a very stealth manner, but this dude just a CEO of a business. Like, I think we need to, the Chris Rock thing, like Biggie and Pac, they just got shot. You know what I'm saying? Like this man got shot in a very professional way, but I don't feel like assassin works. Now, maybe if they had shot him from way far away, that feels like what an assassin does. An assassin don't just walk up on you.
I thought assassination had to do with like the place in society, the fame or the influence of. Yes. So yeah. So like, I disagree with Chris Rock. Like Biggie and Pac assassinated.
No. I don't think they reached the level of like.
Or does it involve planning? Is it like have to be
like? I don't think John Lennon got assassinated. I think John Lennon got shot by a crazy person. Like you got to run something. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a title. I feel like. If not a title, like
CEO?
No. A title that means something more to the world, not just a business. Like Medgar Evers, I think that counts as being assassinated. I think Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, the Kennedys.
So the more I think about it is I think that it also has to be, and this fits this category, also has to be for a larger societal reason. It's like you have
There
to
we
be
go.
famous. The reason why you were killed, or the killing had to be somewhat professional, and the reason why you were being killed is for some larger societal reason. So yeah. Biggie and Pac got shot.
Yeah. They had some beef. You know what I'm saying? Like if what got you shot was just some beef, and I got to be honest, this sounds like some beef. This thing that's happened with our man, like it sounds like it's based around some beef, and I want to be clear about this, and this is why I brought it back up. We don't know what exactly the beef can be, and we have a tendency to make assumptions when it's about important people. And I just want to throw it out there, a reminder that we don't know these people. Did you see the story about when the founder of Cash App got killed?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And so for those who don't know, the founder of Cash App got killed, and I don't know exactly what everybody thought it was, but it was an interpersonal dispute between what appear to be users of drugs, like the for real drugs. And so the suspect is claiming it was in self-defense. Here's a story. The Cash App founder appeared to be snorting cocaine off a knife blade just hours before he was stabbed to death. It's a lot that's going on in that story. All I'm saying is we don't know this dude, right? So if it was some scandal involved and I just wrote these words on the shelves, baby, I done thrown y'all off the scent. You know what I'm saying? We have no idea what happened to this man. We should probably wait until we get some measure of evidence. And I ask this question sincerely for people. If you find out that he had just been out here wilding in the streets, or he owed somebody some money, right? He got a little carried away betting on games, and then you found out he got snuffed for it, would you still be out here celebrating that he got snuffed? Like I have to be honest. I feel like we got to be better than that, man. Like explaining why it's bad. Okay for you to feel that way doesn't change the fact that is all bad. It says terrible things about all of us.
To your point where you started, it's like a movie. It's like a movie, and people acting like it's a movie, and they've ascribed a bunch of different motives to both sides that they don't know about, and they've painted a victim and a hero based on, and which makes it okay to laugh at the way that the villain in the movie dies. I think like people are desensitized, and we can blame the internet or social media or whatever, but people are desensitized to a lot of these things, and the cycle is so much faster from like, oh, shocking thing happens, let's get to these jokes.
Well, let me ask this question. And it's somewhat rhetorical, but, roll with me. There are not a lot of ways to be a good person and make $1 billion. What companies, do we think it's okay for somebody to snuff the CEO? You know what I mean? Like at what place are we saying that it's okay? If it is a guy who runs a pharmaceutical company, is okay. Even if he gave you Ozempic, is it okay to run up and snuff that dude, for example? I don't know. I never myself want to be in a position, even if I ain't mad that somebody's dead, if the second you have to explain why it's okay to celebrate, you've lost. I know it doesn't seem like you have, but there's something dead inside of you and you have already lost.
Yeah, no, I understand the question rhetorical, but I completely agree with you. And this is actually, again, it leaked into some of my first take arguments, but it's something that I talk to my kids about a lot, is like, don't confuse what you're doing. There is a right and a wrong. Sometimes the wrong that you're doing, you feel like it's justifiable. But I'll have you know, and I'm sure this falls on deaf ears because they're young, but hopefully I'll continue to drive this home, is I'll have you know that justification that you plan with can talk you into doing some wrong shit. So never convince yourself that some shit that you're doing that is wrong is right. And so it's a tough thing to get across, is because sometimes you gotta fight, or sometimes you feel if your kids don't got no food and you got nowhere to steal, you feel like you gotta steal. You're still stealing. And that's the scary part, because somebody will convince themselves that shooting a nigga in the middle of the street is justifiable. No. And maybe there's a situation where somebody gotta shoot somebody in the street, but don't pretend like shooting people in the street is okay. And I don't think this is a situation where somebody should be shot in the street.
sometimes you've got to pardon your son.
Exactly.
Like, look, I saw a lot of people that I think I respect make fools of themselves, talking themselves into knots, when the bottom line is this. Hey, man, pardoning that man wasn't cool, but he felt like he had to do it because ain't no telling what he think the next man's going to do. Okay, there we go. Yeah. But you ain't got to, that I understand why you might have done it. However, come on now, we ain't got to lie. Man told us he wasn't going to do it. Then he came back and he went ahead and did it. If the idea is, well, you know, the justice system did him wrong, it's a few thousand, 10,000 zillion people that you could do this whole thing with. Like, there's a long laundry list of discussion, but you ain't got to cheerlead it. You know what I mean? You can acknowledge, hey, I might have done the exact same thing, but that don't mean it's cool. Like, I think you made the most important point there. Sometimes you feel like you got to do that thing that you shouldn't have done, but don't act like you was supposed to do it. Don't act like you did the necessary thing that's not necessarily doing the right thing.
And we've visited this topic quite a few times, but it reminded me of a place I've just gotten out of the darkness of blindly defending black quarterbacks.
Yes.
That was the same thing. It's like, I ain't got to pretend that fool is good. Just because there's a history of people being unfair to black quarterbacks at this point in my career and at this point in history, I don't got to pretend. I can say that he bad. It's the same thing.
I went to this thing on Wednesday. It's called the Deal Book Summit. It's a New York Times event. A lot of rich people in that room, Jack. I walked in the building right after Bob Kraft. I didn't realize that he needed handles. Like he ain't never took nobody to the post, but he was wearing his his New England Patriots Air Force Ones. They was kind of fresh, but he wear them Air Force Ones everywhere. But it was interesting. Bill Clinton was one of the speakers, and it was interesting kind of hearing him talk about the situation with the pardon, where he was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know about this one. And he talked about the whole pardon process. Like, classic Bill Clinton explains the world, and it's just like, oh, everything makes sense when you talk about it. But even he was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you know, that's what you can tell, by the way, Joe Biden is not his man's. They might be cool. It might be his boy, but it's not his man's. It was not a fervent defense in any way whatsoever. It was just kind of a, yeah, you know how it is.
It's amazing because Joe Biden was, I mean, I guess I'm not old enough to remember like the full history of Joe Biden, but like he wasn't anybody's man's. He was on the outskirts, but then Barack was getting fired and it was like, who can we put next to him? He wasn't Barack's man's. Who can we put next to him to make people feel comfortable? Who's like a trustworthy old white man? And then he, with the subsequent things, then they decided the next person who's going to run was Hillary, and she lost. And then we're in a position where all of a sudden Joe Biden is a guy who reminds us of Obama, and he's also a white old man that we feel comfortable with. Next thing you know, Joe Biden is the most important man in all of Democratic politics.
Yep. You know what makes that wild is that for that 1 year, is the only time anybody ever said Joe Biden is our only hope. You know what I mean? That. Like, in a moment, he was literally, and so I can't blame him for thinking, well, what done change? If I was your only hope before, I don't know why you think, all right, whatever, right? You know, but hey, look, gotta do what you gotta do. I ain't got kids. I get it though, right? Gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Like, I don't think my daddy would leave me in jail or put me in a situation under those things, but it actually would have been real cool if Joe Biden was like, yeah, I did it. I forgot why already. Remember y'all said I couldn't remember nothing? In fact, that's what he should have did. He should have got up there and did the Mitch McConnell. Like, said he was going to do it, and when they asked questions, just been like this.
Lock up on them.
Just don't say nothing. They come tap you on the shoulder. Just keep looking straight. Hey man, you know how kids be doing that? Like, once they're able to understand, but they can't really talk, and they pretend like they don't understand what you're talking about, and you be like, "No, man, you know what I'm talking about," but they know enough to know that they can still play the "I don't know what you mean" card, and it might go somewhere. I be wondering about old people doing that sometimes too. I don't remember that. Yeah, you do.
Whatever happened? Did we ever figure out what was going on with Mitch? They never told us what was happening in his brain.
I think we got a little bit too busy and moved on to other things.
Right.
But let me tell you, that I can't remember from reading them articles about Biden. That had to be the first thing he wanted to point out. They ain't tell Mitch he had to quit his job.
That's to the pardoning point. As one of the dangerous things about being like smart people, you can talk yourself into anything. Yeah, like don't get too smart. Just go ahead and accept, like, is it right or is it wrong? Are you gonna do it or you not gonna do it? And I think I would have respected that decision a lot more if he was like, look, it's wrong. What they did was wrong. What I'm doing is wrong. I hope this does not set a precedent going forward, but I'm not gonna let my son go down for this bullshit for a long time.
That's right.
It.
That's right. And look, all his I'm not gonna do that. How much of that was him just doing dad stuff, right? Yeah. This boy has been a thorn in my side, the plank in my eye for all these years. Like all the trouble you done had to get that boy out of at these various times. I need him to know that I'm serious one last time. And then Hunter the whole way is like,
get out of here.
Come on, man. Dad's not gonna let me go down for this, right? I mean, he kind of did. One could make an argument, but nah. Like he needed Hunter to know this was real deal stuff, and then in the end, he came in and saved the day like Dad would.
But it wasn't real deal stuff, and I think that's probably, at least I can speak for myself. Part of the reason why, if I was in that situation, I probably would have pardoned my son is because I would recognize that despite the fact that my son had done some things, that the reason why he is facing these charges or facing this sentence, the major reason why is because I'm the president.
That is correct.
While it's not my fault. So like at that point, I would feel like, damn, pulled him into this foolishness.
No, I think you are correct, right? I would say though, as dad, if I found out my crack smoking son had bought a gun, I would disapprove. Right. And that was a part of what got him in trouble, right? He lied and said that he wasn't a drug user when he bought the gun. Now, I'm sure a lot of people tell that lie on that application. They'd have to take back a lot of guns under those circumstances. But I am saying, if I found out, like, I can't really do a whole lot about you smoking this crack, right? Like, that's bigger than both of us, apparently. But then you go get a gun, like, I would have told you not to do that, legal or not.
I never considered this until just now, is if you smoking crack, why you buying legal guns?
Yeah.
Why you filling out applications for guns if you smoking crack?
Right.
Like, you comfortable acquiring things illegally. I feel like if I'm a crack smoker, I'm also an illegal gun toter. And I understand. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know how to acquire crack. It's not a world I live in. I understand why you might think you need a firearm, but a legal one?
I'd have done it too. But I would have to take my licks for the fact that I had done this. That's all I think that's all I'm saying. Last thing before we get out of here, I've been watching you on TV, and you sound like you're a little skeptical of the best team in the NFL, and you were starting to lean on your solidarity with the black man, and just you going with the quarterback as opposed to the best team in the NFL. Which, I mean, thought you had gotten past that in your life, but whatever. We can't all be fair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. I'm doing the best I can. The funny part is the reason why I'm going with the Eagles is not because of the quarterback. It's because the blackest position in football
with the white
cornerbacks with the white boys back there doing it. Well, one white boy, Reed Blankenship, is getting floated. His Q rate is going up merely because he's a white guy on that team, and he's the other exciting white, because he ain't playing nearly as well as Cooper DeJean is playing.
But hold on, they got a white boy running back kicks too. Like they lean in. And look, I always feel like whoever the best is, they typically tend to cross the boundaries on these things. They got white boys where you don't expect them. They got black dudes where you don't expect them. You know what I'm saying? That's normally how the game goes. Counterpoint, John Gruden was kicking it like this too. You know what I'm saying? John Gruden, who on another day we could talk about, is trying a comeback that I refuse to help in any way whatsoever. I shouldn't even say anything here.
Yeah, we could get off of that.
Yeah.
You're right. The crazy thing is Quinyon Mitchell, the other rookie corner, is better than Cooper DeJean. less interesting because he just locked dudes down and they don't even throw the ball over there. And he looks like what you would expect a guy named Quignon to look like. And so it's a lot less fun, but he's playing better than Cooper DeJean. And Jalen Carter, the player that y'all thought he could be, he is him. And so that's the reason why I've come off of the Lions is when I watch the Eagles and their defense can do everything. They can play zone, they can play man, they can blitz, they can rush the passer. That's why, and then I look at the Lions defense, which is better than it should be considering the injuries and the talent that they have, but they can do it one way, and it's blitz. Play man and blitz.
Once we start getting some guys back out there, right? Because I think that's really all it's going to come down to. Right. Once we start getting some guys back out there. Look, injuries and all that stuff, I get it. The Lions have their point differential is 50 points better than everybody else in the league. It is 50 points better than Buffalo. It is 80 points better than the Eagles. That's bananas. Now, this is being recorded before the game that they play against Green Bay on Thursday night. So those things can change. But I guess I'll be okay if the Eagles make it. Did Sirianni figure out how to coach?
No, man. No, I guess. I don't know. The thing about Sirianni and the thing about the Eagles is it feels like Howie Roseman is running the show over there. It feels very baseball in the way this organization is operating. They won a Super Bowl and told Doug Peterson to get out of there. And then they fired all the coordinators and hired guys that had no connection to Nick Sirianni. It feels like you are just supposed to be operated. You're not an operator. And he doesn't seem like someone who is always comfortable with being operated. So I don't know how long it's going to last. I think the results of this season is going to go a long way to determine his future. But they're playing incredibly well. The thing about them, I think they don't trust their offense despite the fact that they're super talented. Like they should be putting up more points, but they got Jalen back there keeping it simple and it's continuing to work. Like we got Saquon, we got AJ, we got Jalen. We're not going to try to outthink you. We got these. The thing I was dwelling on this week on the TV shows about the and I don't want to get too X's and O's. I know you're gonna wrap it up, but about the Eagles is that these fools got tackles at guard. And I make this joke sometimes as guard is the last stop before you are off the roster. That is where you are not big, you are not strong, you are not fast, you're not crazy athletic. You just a good football guy. They ain't playing that game. They got Mekhi Becton 6'7", and then they got Dickerson, who's also, I think he's 6'6" and 7/8. So 2 6'7" dudes going after in the modern game where our D tackles are pass rushers and our middle linebackers are safeties. These big, it's just, I watched that Ravens game and was like, man, poor Roquan. They was coming downhill on his ass.
I can't imagine like two legitimate power forwards except 100 pounds heavier, bearing down in the middle of the field.
And those are the guards. Those not the tackles. They got Lane Johnson. You was at that party at the Super Bowl when Lane Johnson.
Hell yeah, I was with him. That's the biggest. That was a big motherfucker, man.
Oh, big, scary with diamonds everywhere.
He was shining.
He was dripping.
Yes. That is Domonique Foxworth. Check him out on the Domonique Foxworth Show, available where all fine podcasts are given away for free. My brother, I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man. Sean, you got prize picks for the people?
I sure do. Big slate of Sunday games. Let's go Josh Jacobs on the Packers, 0.5 rush reception touchdowns. I'll take more. David Montgomery on your Detroit Lions. I'll take more than 0.5 rush reception touchdowns. Cooper Kupp, same prop. I think he's going to score a touchdown. And Saquon Barkley against the Carolina Panthers. I think he's going to have 2 touchdowns on Sunday. So that's my picks for this Sunday slate.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. Be sure to check out The Right Time YouTube channel. Lots of exclusive content. And when I say subscribe, I mean that. It matters. Just hit the button. I don't care if you check the shit, man. Just do it. Hit the voicemail line, 323-596-7767. The wackest Christmas gift you have ever received, 323-596-7767. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.